Today on Beardo and Weirdo, we're being joined by John Dolmayan from System of a Down, who shares some Ozzy stories and then, for no reason at all, starts insulting me.
And lets Craig know that he needs therapy, really needs some therapy.
It was unnecessary, but we're getting into it right now.
Pepperoni, angry peppers, mushrooms, olive chives.
And now we're being joined by someone who I love dearly. He's an incredible musician. He's a great dad. He's most well known for being the drummer of System of a Down. He's most well known to me as the one friend in my life who had the decency to tell me after a bad show that I actually sucked. He said it right to my face, and I've loved him ever since for that. John Dolmayan, how are you, friend?
I'm sorry. I thought I was going to be on with Eddie Murphy.
And the pain continues.
How you doing, brother?
I'm
That was a
doing
very
good.
nice intro.
And you know Chris Kale.
Good to see you, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Good to see you out here.
I loved you in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, look at that. Trust me, if I was on Pirates of the Caribbean, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I'd be rolling in money doing nothing right now.
Technically, you're CGI in there.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Every time I'm with John, I'm always going, how am I the least funny guy in the room right now? How am I? Like, he's always cracking jokes.
Yeah.
And we've just been getting all these friends together. We have so many musician friends that this is like such a profound experience. What happened, this sequence of events from that final Ozzy show to him passing, just made everyone just stand in awe of what we had just been a witness to. And so we've been pulling all these friends. We had Brian from Korn on with us yesterday and talking to you now. Starting from the beginning, do you remember being a kid and seeing Ozzy? Were you scared of Ozzy when you were a kid, when you first became aware of who he was as an artist?
Not at all.
No?
I was never scared of him. I think I actually got a notebook from the supermarket that we used to go to. I got two of them. I think one of them was for Blizzard of Oz, like a picture of him on a notebook or a notepad.
Mhm.
And then the other one was for Motley Crue, just because I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
Not even really knowing anything about the bands or Ozzy or anything. Hadn't never heard a single song at that point. It wasn't until later that I was introduced to the music by my friend who collected comics as well.
That's so funny you just said that, because Shavo and Darren told me once that when they were kids, they saw pictures of Kiss and they said, oh, I want to do that. And they had no idea what it looked like. And now John is saying, I got this Ozzy thing and this, like a Trapper Keeper. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was kind of not really a Trapper Keeper. I had those as well.
Mhm.
It was just like a notepad. You'd open it up and it would be blank paper.
Okay. So when
And for some reason, at like Alpha Beta or whatever the store was called,
Yeah.
that we would buy groceries from, they had, the Motley Crue cover with the pentagram on it.
Shout at the Devil. Yep.
And Blizzard of Oz. I don't even know if it was at the same time. I'm just saying that, like, I bought these at a fucking supermarket before I knew anything about the music.
How things have changed.
Mhm. And then do you remember hearing the music for the first time? You remember hearing Sabbath or Ozzy for the first time?
Yeah, the first. Well, I think I actually heard Ozzy before I heard Sabbath from my, if my memory serves me correctly, and it was the live album, the Randy Rhoads, the one with like Ozzy lifting Randy Rhoads off the ground.
Tribute.
Yep.
Yeah,
Or Speak of the Devil?
No, it was tribute.
Okay.
It was Tribute.
Okay.
That was the first time I heard any of Ozzy's solo career, but I think maybe I'd heard one or two Sabbath songs before that. This is also before I played drums.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't start playing until I was 15, and I think I was like 13 or 12 around that time. It's a little foggy because the years go by pretty quick and we can't remember everything.
Well, it's the first time I ever heard of your band was on an Ozzfest show. I remember it as you guys being the first band on a main stage. Do I have that memory correct?
1998, we were on rotation with all the other kind of baby bands like Incubus and Snot and Head P and all these other bands that were on Ozzfest. You know, like we'd start at 10:30, and then every 20 minutes there'd be a rotation. Basically, every half hour, a new band played. You know, you'd have a few minutes for changeover. So we were on that Ozzfest, and then the following year, our album had sold a lot more, and we opened up the main stage, and I think it was Godsmack right after us, and then I'm not sure. I think Deftones may have been on that tour. I think the subordinate to Ozzy was Zombie,
Hmm.
I
Oh, yeah.
think,
Yeah.
because the first year was Tool.
Right. And I remember Rob Zombie, and that was the iteration with Riggs and Blasco and
Tempesta.
Tempesta.
Nice.
Yep. And
Yeah. And Tempesta and I have been friends ever since.
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
In those first two Ozzfest tours, do you see Ozzy much?
You know what, man? Like the first Ozzfest tour, I don't know how it happened, but we became very friendly. I think Jack came to our show before Ozzfest because Jack used to go check out the bands, kind of report back to his mom, and kind of tell her who he liked and who the cool newer upcoming bands were. So we'd already had a friendship, and you know, they gave me on the first year the same pass that Ozzy had, basically,
Whoa.
or the musicians that played with Ozzy, including like Borden and Trujillo at the time, were the members of his band, along with a very good guitar player. So right off the bat, they treated us very nicely, and
Wow.
after the tour, Jack used to come to my house. My mom would make like traditional Armenian food. He would eat there. I would go to Ozzy's house and Sharon's house. And,
What?
Nice.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It was a really cool.
Were you intimidated by that? Going to his house?
Let's say, look at his face. There's no way he's intimidated.
He never acted in a way that made me feel intimidated.
Mm.
Even when we were on tour, for the people that know Ozzy who have met Ozzy, he's just not. He's just a normal person. He treats everybody with so much respect and kindness. He was never somebody that acted as if he was any different than anyone else.
That is something that Chris keeps bringing up. He
Yep.
says, in all my years of being in this band, it's interesting that when I look back, I've never heard anybody say anything about Ozzy being mean or disrespectful to anybody.
Never.
It's always been funny stories about him.
I mean, all the stories of him being out of his mind for doing drugs and whatnot. I never heard a story about him just being a dick.
Mhm.
Never.
I never
That's
saw
amazing.
any of that.
Yeah,
We weren't around him during those times.
Mhm.
Although I think maybe he slipped a little bit when Sharon a couple of years later got diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
That was a very difficult time for him, and that happened to be the last Ozfest we did before we kind of broke up for a while in System.
Mhm.
I just remember, first of all, being on Ozfest was like being at summer camp.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We did it 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 times. And some of the best experiences that I've ever had, because you're playing early and then you have the whole day to enjoy.
Yeah.
We're playing venues, these massive venues. It was so early in our careers. Before that, we'd gone out with Slayer.
Yeah.
And they treated us so nicely. I have nothing but nice things to say about everybody in Slayer. It's hard for me to see Slayer because Jeff was, again, one of the kindest people that I've ever met in my life, much less in the music business. And with him passing away, it's hard for me to see it, without him. But Ozzy was the same, Maybe it's just musicians of that generation. They just treated people differently because maybe they'd gone through a lot of hardships themselves and wanted to, or maybe they'd had kindnesses bestowed upon them. I like to feel that System does the same with everybody that we play with, and that everybody feels respected and well cared for by us, so that we can continue on the tradition that Ozzy and all those great bands who looked favorably on us and treated us with kindness. They used to let us shower in their dressing rooms before they got to the venue.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
That is a big deal, being allowed to have access to a good shower.
Yeah, he was always very much
because we couldn't afford hotels. We couldn't afford hotels. We were sleeping in the RV. We didn't have any money. And our RV kept breaking down. So,
Really?
Yeah.
When people would get into stories about Ozzy and sharing memories of Ozzy, do you have any favorite memories you always chip in of anything funny that happened being at Ozzy's house or being on those shows?
I will never talk about anything that happened at Ozzy's house, but I will say that one time we were on Ozzfest, and somehow the subject came up of wiping your ass.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure how the subject came up, but I told Ozzy I wiped my ass sitting down, and he called me a derogatory term that I don't think in today's climate of political correctness we could reiterate, but it was a term used for effeminate men. And I said, well, how do you wipe your ass? And he goes, standing up. And I said something like, well, your underwear must be suffering with a lot of your art, because, Ozzy did art as well. And I go, is that where you got the idea for your art? And he laughed, like.
Oh my
And this was on Ozzfest, and like 2 hours later, he's on stage, and my band, we're done at like 11 o'clock some days in the morning, with our set, and we had the whole day to kill. And I would use the privilege of the pass that I had to come to the front row and watch a little bit of their set from the front, like right in between the aisle before I got kicked out. Which I eventually did every time, even if I showed the pass. And Ozzy would look sometimes and give me a little wink from the stage. There was just like a lot of moments. Sharon also treated us with a lot of kindness and respect. And even, a couple of years later when we were bigger and Darren and I decided to go play naked on stage, and, this is before, thankfully, smartphones and, Instagram and all that stuff. And even then, though we did get a formal reprimand, it was done with a wink and a laugh. And yeah, I remember them saying, like, this is not System of a Down Fest. This is Ozzfest. And just because Ozzy has, a lot of stories of being wild and all that, doesn't mean you have to do it too. And, and that was it. It was like a slap on the wrist, and we didn't hear anything else about it.
I've heard some crazy Ozzfest stories from a lot of our mutual friends. There was one, were you on the Ozzfest tour when there was a SWAT team that surrounded an Applebee's that Zakk Wylde was in?
No, I don't remember that.
No.
I remember John Otto getting arrested.
Really?
The drummer for Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit. On the Ozzfest tour.
What happened there?
On the Ozzfest. I'm willing to bet that a lot that got arrested during the Ozzfest.
That's when Limp Bizkit had the giant toilet bowl on the stage?
That's right. That's right.
So what happened with John Otto on the Ozzfest tour? One of many people who got arrested at an Ozzfest tour.
I think he was shooting things out of his bus, like with a BB gun.
Okay.
And I guess they frown upon that in whatever state we're in.
So Sharon and
anyway, he got arrested, but he made it to the show the next day. So I'm sure it was a slap on the wrist for him too.
Where were you when you heard the news that Ozzy had passed?
I was probably setting up for Comic-Con, and the condolence text started to come in to me.
Oh, wow.
And first of all, I didn't know anybody knew what my feelings were towards Ozzy or the family. And I didn't know what they were talking about because I was setting up for Comic-Con in San Diego. And then I looked on Instagram, and of course, like, it's the barrage of you always think like, okay, maybe it's false because it was so soon after the last show that they did that it was like, okay, maybe this is like a bullshit, or maybe he went to the hospital. Hopefully he's okay. And then I got the confirmation from Bino, my manager. And it's one of those things where that he's older and he had a lot of health issues over, especially the last 5 years. And I always feel like no matter what it is, the feelings that we have about somebody that passed, or the feelings where we're dealing with the fact that we are also mortal and we only have a certain amount of time left. I try to reflect more on the amazing times that I had with somebody because they're gone,
Mm.
and the only thing left are the memories you have of them. And I try not to get sad, but like more uplifted by the fact that number one, I was lucky enough to know him. Number two, he made a bunch of incredible music. They created a really cool and fun tour that is a staple for many people's youths and a fond memory for them, whether they were attending or where they were performing on it. You know, tens of thousands of people have positive memories from those shows. And, he was a big influence on all the members of System of a Down. We were all saddened in our own way. I know Darren in particular was really grief stricken by it and had, cried many times.
Mm.
He's a much more sensitive than I am when it concerns things like this. I look at it in a more pragmatic way, and life is finite. We're all going to die, and my kids are going to have to experience this one day, and my loved ones are going to have to deal with the loss of me one day, and all these things. And trying to get too saddened by it, but you have your moments where you think like, "Fuck, I wish I had spent a little bit more time," or we kind of lost touch for a long time because System went one way, and then we broke up, and then we got back together, and you have kids and all these things. But I still keep in contact with Jack, and I did reach out to Jack, who I look at as kind of a little brother. And I sent him a private message of condolences, and he responded right away. So, the only thing, the world is saddened by it, and the fans are saddened by it, but, there is a private matter here. These people lost their father, and Jack, Sharon lost her husband of, 4 decades or however long they were married. And they're the ones that are going to have to grieve, and we have to give our sympathies to and our support to if they need it.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to look back on because I feel like when you're in the middle of success, you don't really know what to compare it to. But those early days, you can really feel because you're coming from nothing and you're like, oh my God, we're going on tour. Oh my God, we're I feel like it's easier to understand the buildup, the come up. Like, wow, man, we're doing it. And to be a part of his life.
You're also not jaded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're not selling out those venues by yourself.
Yeah.
And there are bands that you've idolized that you get to see every day for free. We used to pay, save up money and pay to go see them. And we're seeing Slayer every day for free.
Yeah.
Seeing Ozzy and seeing Tool and all these just fantastic bands. And then the camaraderie that builds with the other bands that are smaller. And, some of them have achieved, really massive levels of stardom and fame, and others broke up. Some members died. So much shit happens. And as you're traveling down that river, you want to get reflective. I guess, if anything, someone of that magnitude's passing does put you in a position where you have to reflect. You're forced to.
Yeah.
And that could be fun. You go through all the great memories.
Yeah.
And I have tons of them. Playing chess with my friend Chi, who's born on the same day as me, who passed away, 2 decades ago.
Wow.
During our time on Ozzfest, we used to play chess almost every day.
Wow.
It's very good, by the way. And chasing girls was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Touching them was even more fun. And having some drinks with friends and just the whole thing, man. It really was like meatballs.
Yeah.
For those of you who get that reference. And even thinking about it now, it brings a smile on my face because there's just so many good memories. The more you think about it, when, I'm not going to say who it was, but a couple of the guys at Somerset, Wisconsin, stole a golf cart and ran it up the mountain of the ski resort, and it went tumbling down the hill, and then receiving a reprimand from Sharon for that. A lot of fun memories.
I like thinking about Ozzy Osbourne and just the family tree of all the different bands that have come from Black Sabbath into Ozzy and all the other bands that have been out there as a result of him being on here, his influence that has spread all throughout hard rock and heavy metal. And with all those bands, like you were saying, you know, it is an actual family with the Osbournes. They're looking out for you. They got the kids running up the golf cart up the hill. Hey, wagging the finger. Behave, guys, behave.
And they probably just ate the cost on that. We destroyed that thing.
Yeah.
or whoever.
And
they
would
probably just ate the cost.
At those Ozzfest shows,
Mhm.
you would regularly see a very young Jack, a very young Kelly just walking around backstage, you know, and all the bands like, come on, hang out with us. And I just remember thinking like, what a crazy experience these 14, 15-year-old kids are having.
Yeah.
Traveling with dad.
Jack was like 10.
Was he really? Oh my God.
He was a very young kid. You know, and
Wow.
that's why I say he's like a little brother to me, because we'd hang out every day and I'd kind of keep him out of trouble and, you know, make sure he was okay. But yeah, man, it was just, there's just so many good memories. But really, let's talk about Ozzy for a second. Just sitting with him while he ate, and, you know, this is before the world knew, you know, more insightfully into his life with the reality show that they did, which was fucking hilarious.
Absolutely.
You know, they played more on his like befuddled character, but that wasn't always him. He's a very intelligent, you know, deeply insightful person.
Mhm.
So when you looked into his eyes and he looked at you and he would talk about things, you felt the emotion of what he was talking about. And he was truly an artist, not just musically, but, you know, he painted. I don't know how many people know about that, you know, and that's kind of how I got the idea that maybe I should explore some other elements of my artistry or my gifts. And if I'm not good at painting, maybe writing or those things, it kind of gave me the incentive to do something outside of just drumming. And because of that, I've become a writer and done many other things artistically, you know, like not all of them for the public eye, you know.
Was that a
I built
drumstick?
things out of Legos.
Was that a drumstick in your hand?
Yeah.
Do you
Drummers.
Do you go to Ralph's supermarket just like, hey guys, if you guys are ready, I'm ready to go at any point?
I do, but when I'm at Ralph, I just use my penis.
Yeah. A lot of people have mentioned how insightful he was. Do you remember
Oh,
any?
I thought you were going to say a lot of people mentioned my penis.
Yeah.
A lot of people have mentioned your dick has an elbow in it, and but a lot of people have mentioned that Ozzy was very insightful. Do you remember any advice? Is there anything he's ever, any wisdom he's ever imparted that has stuck with you about life, about music, about the business end of this?
He never talked business, not with me at least.
Mm.
He would. Okay, I'll tell you a story that I think is okay for me to tell, and they wouldn't mind. One time I was at his house, and just to give you a little insight on how good their parenting was for both Sharon and Ozzy, Jack wanted to play drums.
Okay.
And Jack asked if I could help him get a drum set, and I was like, "Look, I don't get drum sets free. I have a cost deal. At the time, I had a cost deal with Tama. I said, "I'll get you whatever I can." And I remember Jack being really cautious about how much he spent.
Oh wow!
And him saying like, "This is not my money. I want to make sure I don't want to spend a lot." And then Ozzy overheard him and goes, "What the fuck do you think I'm working for? This is all for you." And that stuck with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, what a
You
beautiful.
know, it actually, I think I had that philosophy anyway, but I didn't have kids for long after that.
Yeah.
But now when I look at my kids, I go, yeah, this is all for you.
Wow.
You know, I'm doing everything I'm doing for your future and for the future generations. And Ozzy thought that way. And because of that, because of his open-handedness with his kids, they didn't grow up, they're not going to grow up spoiled with Sharon anyway. Her influence is very strong. And very shrewd and but kind again. I have to always express how kind they were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, both Sharon, who's a very magnanimous person, and Ozzy, who's a very giving emotionally and physically, and like hugging and all those different things. Throwing a bucket of water on you when you're at the front of the stage on purpose, you know, aiming for you. very kind because it was hot.
Sharon was a fiercely protective person. If she loved you, you could feel it.
Mhm.
You could feel it. She looked out.
Well,
for
you didn't want to get on. I was there for a couple of the bad sides of Sharon, where she was protective of her household, but
Yeah.
us in the system, we try not to harm anyone.
Yeah.
Like we do good business and we try to take care of our promoters and everybody we're working with, and
Yeah.
obviously we do the best we can to bring a great show to the audience.
Yeah.
So we never had a problem with her or anybody else.
After seeing what they did in Birmingham, have you had any thoughts? Has there ever, I don't know if it's between you and the other guys, but have you had any thought about, man, it would be cool one day on a decided moment to go, all right, this is going to be how we want to go out?
It's nice to be honored,
Mm.
and you have a lifetime of achievements, and it is pleasant to have that. I don't know if we'll do that, but if we did, it would have to mean the end of System of a Down.
Yeah.
There's no reason to do that and then continue on.
Right.
That would be like, okay, this is our swan song. This is our goodbye. This is the cathartic experience for the fans and also our fans in music. We have a lot of different bands who are fans of System of a Down as well. It's not just kids out there. So it'd also be a goodbye to them. And if we did that, I would want it to be the last thing we did.
I don't feel like I'm the only one seeing this, but John and Chavo, I've just been watching what they've been up to the last few months, and it seems to me, I don't know how to articulate this, but it seems like System of a Down somehow is getting even bigger.
Yeah, I mean, as evidenced by those shows you were telling me about in South America.
Yeah.
And these stadium tours that they're getting ready to come up on as well.
Do you feel that, or does it feel the same to you? Or does it feel like it's getting bigger for you too?
Well, that was AI, man. We didn't even go to South America.
That's why it was a Comic-Con. I like it.
Something certainly happened. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that we're the fine wine that you can't really get. Like we play very few shows. We haven't made an fucking album since 2005.
That's longer than Tool. That's longer than Tool.
Yeah.
In between records.
Yeah, exactly. But it hasn't been by design, but we're one of one. There is no other System of a Down, and there's really nothing like it if you think about it. Craig, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Do you think there's anything like similar to System of a Down out there?
No, there's been times after shows where you've said to me, how was it out there? How what's the vibe like? And I would always tell you, like, man, it's so weird. It's like people are dancing. It's so rhythmic. It's like your audience is just so into you. It's so passionate. And I know you can feel
They are passionate
from where you're at. It's also fun to me to know how genuinely silly and goofy these guys are, especially John and Chavo.
People have it's not just John and Chavo, by the way. There's all kinds of comedy going back and forth throughout the band. Serge is very funny. Darren is very funny. We have that Face and Hole app. You know what I'm talking about?
No, what's the Face and Hole app?
It's where I could take like Chavo's face and put him as Borat or whatever,
Okay.
Like we send those around weekly. It's, on a weekly basis. We make fun of everyone from our accountants to our band members to everybody. I did one of Serge the other day kissing a camel, and I sent it right to Serge. I mean, it sounds stupid, which it is, but the System of a Down you see on stage is us doing what we're supposed to do. What we've trained our whole lives to do and what the music has led us to. But even up there's moments, if you're paying attention, where comedy happens.
Yeah.
And from the perspective of a fan, whenever I've gone, a lot of bands, it's like watching wrestling. Let me hear you over here on the left, let me hear you over here on the right, and all that bullshit. And trying to divide and create like a false sense of whatever between the audience. It's one fucking audience. And I watch it and it's like the contrived shit to me is kind of meaningless, and I look at it like wrestling. But when I see real moments where something funny happens on stage and the band members react to it, or something unexpected happens, I find that to be the reason to go to a live show.
You are reminding me that I have seen shows where, and I cannot quote it off the top of my head, but I know that there are shows where Darren has said things on stage that I just laughed out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll just it just seems like off the top.
Yeah, and you're not the only one. We laugh out loud.
Yeah.
If you'll notice, we don't know what he's going to say, and neither does he. So when he says it, sometimes I have to play a song after those moments. Yeah? And Serge, you guys don't notice it, but Serge is constantly trying to fuck with me and make me laugh. Constantly. Throughout the show. Because when his back is turned to the audience, he's looking at me. You guys don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he's trying to fuck me up and trip me up while I'm playing songs, and sometimes it works.
I was going to ask, has there been a train wreck? Getting messed up by Serge?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. We had a massive fuck up on Question at Sick New World a couple years back. And it's because Serge plays acoustic guitar on that song. And they'd forgotten to put the acoustic guitar in my in-ears. So I didn't know what he was doing. I had to guess. And I guessed wrong.
Really? I wonder what that was, because I was at that show.
What was us stopping the fucking song after 4 seconds?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And having to start her over.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I've never asked you this question, and in this forum, I can actually ask you this question because it's relevant. Did you ever see that moment that Rick Rubin spoke about where he said the first time he ever saw System of a Down, he said he was invited to watch them perform at a bar in Hollywood at the Viper Room.
Oh, man.
And he walks in, System of a Down starts their first song, and he goes, I just started laughing. He said, I'd never heard anything like it before. And what they were doing, I understood it, but it made me laugh. Have you ever heard him say that about you guys?
I've heard him. He never said that to us.
Yeah.
But he said that in many interviews. Interestingly enough, my wife says the same thing about our sex life.
John Dolmayan will be at the Funny Bone this Friday in Cleveland, Ohio. Go see him. And I'll be opening for him at the Teehees, which is a real comedy club, by the way, that I performed at. I performed at a Teehees.
You do anything August 8th, 9th, or 10th, we're going up to Anchorage, Alaska, and we'd love to have you do a guest spot.
Do a set.
Yeah, come on up, man.
I could probably pull together a nice 5-minute set.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's worth the 20 hours of travel.
Hey, you've been in the band long enough. I'm sure we've all done that.
I'll be rehearsing, as much as I'd like to join you guys, I will be rehearsing for our New York,
Chicago,
and Toronto shows.
Yeah. I know Korn's opening up one show, Deftones opening another.
Korn is the two shows. I guess technically it's New Jersey.
Okay.
We call it the New York show.
Yeah.
And then Deftones are in Toronto, and Avenged Sevenfold is in Chicago.
Chicago. Well, dude, thank you for making time to just share stories. You have a very unique perspective on all that's just happened here that everyone's talking about. And I just wanted some stories from you. So thank you for taking time to talk to us and share the stories. And you're one of my favorite people. I want to tell you, I'm going to tell Chris, there's so many funny stories I can tell you about John and how funny he is. But I think you'll relate to this a little bit. He left me a voicemail once, and sometimes when John calls me, I'm intimidated. But once we start talking, he's a goofball, and I understand him as a goofball. But there was one message that he left me, and I sincerely was busy. I think I was on the air. I might have been doing something with Howard, whatever. I couldn't pick up the phone. And I'm like, oh, John called me. And this is the voicemail I got. Hey, man, let me explain something to you. I'm the rock star in this relationship, okay? Not you. You're not the rock star. I am. You're a comedian, okay? So when I call you, You pick up, okay? I'm the one who's supposed to avoid your call, okay? So
you never fucking pick up the phone.
I know.
Like I call, I text. Sometimes you don't respond. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep. And he got you back right before this episode. He got you back because Craig was calling John. And as I saw him calling you, I was like, he's going to look at that and be like, nope. And that's exactly what happened. I got him.
I tend to pick up Craig's calls because I love talking to Craig. And what I really find complimentary, Craig and I really don't know each other that well, although we know each other for, I think, like almost 25 years now.
20 years. I can tell you exactly when we met because I relapsed that night. It was 22 years ago when we first met, and we met through a mutual friend in a band.
Way to make it a positive, Craig.
Yeah.
I would love to get to know Craig a little bit more, but I don't think he allows people that close to him.
Whoa.
To be honest with you.
Oh my God. Yep. You just tapped into something that is actually coming up a lot in my life in therapy. Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow, John. Wow. You are. And I will say this, and I mean this sincerely. When I'm with you, I understand you so well that I can relax around you. But sometimes when I'm away from you for a while and then you call me, I go, oh man, I don't want to bother that guy. Even though he's calling me.
Yeah.
I think, oh, I don't want to bother him.
That's a self-defense mechanism, I think, Craig.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy you as a friend. I wish we knew each other better after all these years, but I think that you are, and maybe a lot of comedians do this because you use your comedy and your relationships in general to mask your traumas and pains and all that shit. And I've never been to therapy, but this is just an observation I made because you kind of tend to know the same personalities and different people,
Yeah.
I think you're a really good guy, and a talented guy, even though I've seen probably your worst shows ever, two worst ones.
Which is a whole other story, but he really has.
We'll compare notes.
If you want to hear a room with zero sound, all you got to do is see a Craig Gass show when it's bad. It's almost like being in one of those like sensory deprivation chambers. It's so quiet.
All right, listen, I'm gonna say this story quickly. I've said it before, but since we're going in this direction, there was one night, Ozzfest was in New York.
No. The Roger Waters night was the real disaster.
That was, yeah. I bombed in front of Roger Waters, and the blessing and the curse is that John and Shava were there to witness it. Mm-hmm. But there was one night on an Ozzfest tour, and this genuinely bonded me to John Dolmayan in a way that really made me value him. A bunch of Ozzfest bands came to a comedy club to watch me do a set. And they all sat at their own tables. It became a Seven Dust table, a Disturbed table, a System table, et cetera, et cetera. I had a bad set. I tried to mix things up, and it didn't go over well. Mm-hmm. And I bombed in front of a lot of people who I love. I get off stage, I go to the Seven Dust table, and I go, hey, sorry. And the Seven Dust table was like, no, man, you were great. Yeah. And I was like, no, I wasn't. And then I go by the Disturbed table, and I go, hey, sorry about that. And they're like, no, dude, you were funny. And I was like, no, I wasn't. I go to the System of a Down table. They don't even see me coming. I see Shavo's watching. John's watching. John sees me. And I go, hey, guys, sorry about that. And John goes, hey, let's go outside. I go, what? He goes, follow me. We go outside on the street in New York City. John turns around and goes, dude, you know why you sucked? I'll tell you exactly why you sucked tonight. First of all, and he went through my entire set. Mm-hmm. Everything he said were the things going on in my head at that moment is like, oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Oh man, I messed that up. And he saw all of it. Yeah. And he goes, look, I'm not telling this to you to hurt your feelings. I'm telling you this because I love you. I really care about you, man. Mm-hmm. And I think you're funny. And because I care about you, I want to see you become the greatest comedian ever. And it's not going to happen if I lie to you and tell you were great tonight. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to tell you as your friend what you did wrong. And I was so humbled and respectful of what he was saying to me that every time I've gotten out of my comfort zone to do a roast, something where, oh man, I need an honest opinion, I'll call John up and say, hey, dude, do you mind if I run these jokes past you? And he'd go, yeah, let's hear it. And sometimes I'll get a like, oh my God. And then every once in a while he'll go, yeah, I get rid of that.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, get rid of that. Okay, cool. Scratch.
So what you're telling me is all that time while you were hoping that Billy Joel was your father, you had John as the father figure in your life this entire time.
John was, I didn't even think about that.
John is the father you've been looking for. Not Billy, not hey, Billy.
It's John Dolmayan.
So when I have a friendship like I do with Craig, and because I want the best for everyone, sometimes I stupidly give my opinion, and it's gotten me into trouble in certain circumstances.
Oh, I know some good ones there. Yeah.
I'm not going to get into that story because
I won't either, but yeah.
It's just I haven't talked to that person since.
Yeah.
But
it must have been a hell of an opinion.
Oof. It's such a good story.
Maybe I lack the courtesy to lie to people. Sometimes you're supposed to lie to people, I guess. But when it's concerning someone's career and their aptitude and their professionalism, and they asked me my opinion. Now, Craig didn't ask me my opinion that day, but I gave it to him anyway. Now, I would have to be asked that opinion. But if they asked, don't ask me my opinion if you don't want my opinion. Because I'm giving you the truth is the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know, and
my favorite thing in any John Dolmayan story is when someone says to John, hey, John, what do you think? And John's first words are, you want me to be honest?
Because it's coming.
That is the beginning. That's the beginning
kind
of their
last. That's kind of their last chance. To take that question back. Because if they say no, I'd be like, it was great.
But it is something that it comes up all the time that people don't want to be honest. And people pleasing. Yep. And I am someone who responds really well to constructive criticism. And I was blown away by how he spoke to me that night. And because he was telling me, listen, man, I love you. I genuinely like you, man. I like you as a person. And I want you to be the best.
And by the way, Craig, if I didn't think you had talent or that you were funny, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have talent or you weren't funny, the career would have ended anyway. I would have had to do nothing about it. But because I saw great potential in you, and because your premises were funny and your voice work was great, and you do have the cadence to do it, right? Like you have all the necessary tools, but maybe it was the way you're incorporating them or the order you were doing it in, or maybe you got fucking flustered that night. I don't know. But either way, as someone that thought of you as a friend, I felt like it would have been irresponsible of me not to point out the glaring problems of your set that night. And by the way, you may have come to those determinations anyway. You know,
having the confirmation from somebody who could see me meant a lot to me. So,
yeah, but you got to understand, guys, it was almost like zero laughs.
Almost? Are you being nice right now?
And that's where that's where the whole thing about you giving speeches came about.
Yeah. You know? Oh my God, that's right. Because I made the mistake right before we went. I was going to do a private show for Roger Waters and his band. And I'm going to give you a very short version of this. John says to me, he goes, wow, so Roger's going to be there. And man, what if you bomb tomorrow night in front of Roger Waters? And it hadn't crossed my mind. And I said,
until then,
well, I mean, it would be funny. And I said, but you know what, John, I'll tell you some funny stories about how comedians interact with each other when somebody bombs, the way comedians fuck with each other. And one of them is when someone has a bad set, another comedian will walk up, coming up next and be like, hey, great speech. And then grab the microphone. I made the mistake of saying that to John. The next night, Roger Waters was not into anything I was saying. And the whole room got...
Hold on to that. Let's not forget, he was laughing a lot with the comedian that went on before you. So it wasn't that he has no sense of humor.
Yeah. Do you remember who that comedian was going on before you?
He was a local guy in
No, he was like a local comedian somewhere in Australia.
Okay.
New Zealand.
I don't think he knows who he was.
Yeah, it was Auckland, New Zealand. And then I went up and it just went sideways immediately. And it got quieter and quieter. I started to stammer. I could feel my pits starting to sweat.
And sweat.
And then Roger Waters got so disgusted with me at one point, I started doing a cheap masturbation joke. When things are not going well in your set, you start to think, all right, you know what? Fuck everything I'm doing. Let's just get the crowd on my side. You got certain jokes that always get people to laugh.
Mm.
And for me, it was this cheap masturbation joke. I'm in the middle of pantomime like a monkey, like I'm jerking off, when Roger Waters just had enough and went, ugh, and he grabbed a glass of wine and he walked out of his own party. He left his own party.
Mm-hmm.
And it was total silence. And I said, and this moment rings in my head when I'm alone sometimes. I said to the quiet crowd, so what else should I do? And there was a long pause. And in the back of the room, I didn't even need to know who it was. I heard someone scream out, how about another speech? And I was like, oh, you asshole. John Dolmayan
With the callback.
crushed me with a baseball bat in my most vulnerable moment where I was trying to impress Roger Waters and his band and crew.
As Roger walked out the building.
John...
Is this your idea of a short story?
We walk out.
He's right. He does not know you.
we walk out and I go, I'm dumbfounded by what happened. Somebody who works for Roger Waters walks up to me and he tries to comfort me by saying, hey man, I've worked for Roger for over 40 years. Don't take it personally. I saw him walk out on John Lennon once. And I said, don't compare me jerking off on stage to anything. It's not like John Lennon was on stage going, hey, Roger, where you going? I'm making a wine album.
He didn't walk out on the comedian before you, though, Craig. He stayed for that guy's whole set. But listen, man, if you were really good that day, we wouldn't have this story, and it's much more entertaining.
That's true. Yeah.
You know?
We would have the lead piece for this podcast right now.
Think of the positive. If you were funny, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm grateful for our friendship, and you're right. I need to do better. It's actually come up recently, and hopefully, I know I'm going to cross paths with you in New York. I'm looking forward to seeing you in New York, and then we will make plans to hang out wherever you have time. So thank you for joining us.
Sounds good, brother.
Thank you for sharing these Ozzy stories, which were incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And looking forward to seeing you next time as you walk around your neighborhood with drumsticks to let everybody know, that's right, a drummer lives here.
Well, usually when I'm in my studio where I play drums, I have drumsticks.
Oh,
around, so.
That's our first time seeing the drum kit. All right. Well, go see System of a Down. They don't play many shows.
What do you think this was, my masturbation room?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. But
Trying to relate to Craig Gass today. I'm
that's
going
why
right
I
to
got
my...
the System of a Down socks here to take care of business.
Right. Dude, I and just as a side note, you really, I
Another
love,
quick story.
Yeah, I love watching. I love the dad that you've become. I really do. I love the dad you've become, and you're an incredibly thoughtful person, and I love seeing it. Looking forward to hanging out with you in New York, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, John.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, John. See you.
Oh, that was amazing.